Yes, children, we had started this Mother's Day yesterday. So the theme was discussed, like this play is basically about how mother needs to be respected, number one. And at the same time, it's not that mothers like they relax and don't bother like how they need to be respected. They need to take stand to retain their self-respect. Okay, it is both way. Number one, like we all should, like the society should take care that the mothers, that is all women are respected. And at the same time, it's a duty of mothers also to to get respected from the others. And for that, they need to say no to exploitation. And wherever, whenever they feel that they are being exploited, they are taken for granted, they must raise voice, they must take stand the way here Mrs. Pearson will take. Okay, and it's not about taking the stand someday, it's about each moment. At each moment of life, you know, self-respect is very important. So the moment one feels that the children or the other family members are taking you for granted, then you must raise your voice. One thing more, children, let us not be feminist. Let's not talk only the things in favor of mothers only. The same thing, the same rule applies for fathers also. The same rule applies for grandmother, grandfather also. The point is, like, each person has a right to live a life of integrity, a life of, respect, and doesn't mean that we become over feminist and we start disrespecting or we start exploiting the fathers, or we start exploiting the grandparents, or we start exploiting the children. So we need to keep a balance in life. Okay, what happens like when women become over sensitive about their status, then what happens that men start getting exploited. Point is not that we have to respect mothers only. The point is that there has to be a balance. We must need to take care of the balance in life. Okay, each and every person, each and every creature on this earth needs to be respected. So as we read in Ailing Planet that you in 11th standard, you people read out in Ailing Planet that we need not dominate others. We need to share this earth with other species of flora and fauna. So similarly, you are in 11th only. So point is like when we are on this earth and we need not dominate anyone. The need is of sharing the responsibilities and the duties as well, right? If we talk about our rights, then we must be very, very careful about our responsibilities first. So let's not take this Mother's Day as a feminist one, as an approach to, safeguard the rights of only women. I must add from my side that we must safeguard the rights of each and every individual on this earth. Maybe it's children, maybe it's men, maybe it's women, maybe it's old people, old grandparents. Each and everybody needs to be respected as per their status. Okay, grandparents need to be respected. Doesn't mean that we are sitting and the grandparents are working for us. That is no feminism. Okay, it's not that mothers are sitting and the fathers are doing the whole thing for the family. That's also not a Mother's Day. Okay, Mother's Day means that giving rights, giving equal rights to all, irrespective of the gender or or age. Each and every individual needs to be respected. So first lesson would be mine, this one. So let's start this Mother's Day. Like when you think that your status is, you are being exploited, then you need to raise your voice against it. So how Mrs. Pearson in this play? Mrs. Pearson, the one who is playing the role of mother, she will take stand to get proper position in the family. And we'll see that Mrs. Pearson is not that strong woman. She's not able to do anything because she thinks that if she will be raising voice against the injustice, then what will happen? There will be unpleasantness in the house that she doesn't want. So she always keeps on thinking that she'll take action someday, But point is that when will someday come? It never comes. So her friend, Mrs. Fitzgerald. So her friend, Mrs. Fitzgerald, who is her neighbor, she will help her out. She will tell her that now is the most important time. Now is the time when we can raise our voice against the injustice. So let's see how Mrs. Fitzgerald convinces Mrs. Pearson about injustice. She tells her like how she needs to raise her voice. Okay. Yes, children, I'll have to share the screen again. Yes, so let's see the characters of this play. Mrs. Anne Pearson, George Pearson, Doris Pearson, Cyril Pearson, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Okay, 4 family members and 1 neighbor, Mrs. Fitzgerald. The action takes place in the living room of the Pearson's house in London suburb. So the background is that of London, and the action, the whole play will be set in the living room of Mrs. Pearson's. So here the setting is set, right? So then Mrs. Fitzgerald, you know, she is seen in the beginning of the play. So we see both of the women on a table, dining table. So they are having a cup of tea together, collecting up the cards. So both Mrs. Fitzgerald and Pearson, they are having a cup of tea. Plus they are playing, you know, actually Mrs. Fitzgerald is a tarot card reader also. Okay, I guess you understand who is a tarot card reader. The tarot card reader is the one who can predict the future with the help of some calculations and all. So Mrs. Fitzgerald, who is a tarot card reader also, she knows magic also. So she is there now, collecting up the cards. And that's all I can tell you, Mrs. Pearson. Could be a good fortune, could be a bad one. All depends on yourself now. Make up your mind, and there it is. So the very starting dialogue of the opening dialogue is of Mrs. Fitzgerald, and on the basis of her calculations of cards, she tells Mrs. Pearson that now it is all upon her decision. If she makes up her mind, then it might turn into a good future. Otherwise, it may remain a bad one. So now all depends upon like what you decide. Make up your mind, and there it is. So what she is asking her to make up her mind about? So the answer is Mrs. Fitzgerald is asking Mrs. Pearson to make up her mind to raise her voice against injustice in the family. Got it? Mrs. Fitzgerald is a neighbor, and she knows each and everything about Mrs. Pearson's family. It's not that Mrs. Pearson tells her. Don't think like Mrs. Pearson is telling Mrs. Fitzgerald the things about her family. It's not so. Mrs. Fitzgerald knows everything because she is a keen observer, and she's a neighbor. So what many times in a family, you know, we don't know the things, the neighbors know the things. So Mrs. Pearson, yes, thank you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. I'm much obliged. I'm sure it's wonderful having a real fortune teller living next door. Did you learn that out east too? So Mrs. Pearson is very, you know, thankful to Mrs. Fitzgerald for giving such kind of nice suggestion. So she says that it's really nice to have a fortune teller living next door to you. So it's really a great thing that a fortune teller is your neighbor. And moreover, have you learned this fortune telling also in East? Why too? Because she also means that because she knows that she knows magic also. So Fitzgerald, I did. Yeah, I learned. 12 years I had of it with my old man rising to be the lieutenant quartermaster. So Mrs. Fitzgerald says, yes, she learned this magic plus fortune telling there in East. And she spent about 12 years in learning it. And at the time her husband was going to be promoted as the lieutenant quartermaster. Then at the time I learned this magic and fortune telling and spent about 12 years on this. he learned a lot and I learned a lot more. But will you make up your mind now, Mrs. Pearson, dear? Put your foot down once and for all and be the mistress of your own house and the boss of your own family. So you can underline these lines. So this is what Mrs. Pearson wants this is what Mrs. Fitzgerald wants Mrs. Pearson to be. She says that he learned a lot and I learned a lot more. So Mrs. Fitzgerald has spent about 12 years in learning this fortune telling and magic. So in this play, we'll come across some very supernatural, things. For example, Mrs. Fitzgerald will do magic and she will become Mrs. Pearson and Mrs. Pearson will become Mrs. Fitzgerald. So these kinds of things, otherwise we don't expect. But here the, playwright has made these things, he's hinting the fact like Mrs. Fitzgerald is a great magician also. Okay, she's an expert in these kinds of things. And moreover, Mrs. Fitzgerald doesn't waste her time in idle gossiping. She tells her that now, Mrs. Pearson, you make up your mind and be the mistress of your family. Got it? Basically, children, all housewives, all mothers are the bosses of their families. It's a fact. But what happens? No one actually applies this in reality. Where the mothers happen to be the boss of the family, they are treated like the servants of the family eventually because of the kind of services they give to the family. So Mrs. Fitzgerald says, like you need to take care. Yes, that you need to be the boss of the family. And that will happen only when you make up your mind. Again, I'm telling you what is to make up your mind. Like you have to raise your voice against injustice. Okay. So Mrs. Pearson, smiling apologetically, that's easier said than done. Besides, I'm so fond of them, even if they are so thoughtless and selfish. They don't mean to be. So you will tell me what did she want to say here? Mrs. Pearson, she smiles apologetically. Why apologetically? Apologetically, you understand, like as if she's asking for forgiveness. Mrs. Fitzgerald suggests her to be strong, but Mrs. Pearson says, no, I can't do this, because she says like it is easier to say than to do. It's easier for you to say that I need to be very strong, this, that, but it's not possible. And number two, she says, Mrs. Pearson, that I love my children, my family a lot. And I cannot, though I know that my children are thoughtless, I know that my children are selfish, I know they are nonsense, but I know that they don't mean to be. So what does she want to, how does she want to complete the dialogue? She wants to say that she doesn't mean, that children don't mean to be cruel to me. Got it? Fitzgerald, cutting it. She interrupts her. Maybe not, but it would be better for them if they learned to treat you properly. So Mrs. Fitzgerald is very adamant on the fact like this, Mrs. Pearson should take an action against injustice so that children learn how to treat their mother properly. Okay, love aside, if mother loves children and children loves mother, it's okay. But if they don't know how to treat mother, they need to be taught. Pearson says that yes, I suppose it would in a way, no doubt about it at all. Who is the better for being spoiled? Grown man, lad or girl? Lad means the boy. So Mrs. Fitzgerald is now very, convincing in her tone. She says, you tell me now, like, does it serve any good to your husband or to your children if they're spoiled? Does it good them any good? If any one of your family member is spoiled, if a mother is very, lenient, and if her children are nonsense, then is mother doing good to the children or bad? Tell me, children. If in a family, husband is spoiled, doesn't know how to treat his wife, and if the children are also equally nonsense, then does it good them any good? Then is mother doing them any good? No. In a way, mother is contributing in making them worse for themselves also. In order to do something good for them, mothers need to be strict so that the family also becomes good. So she says that who is the better for being spoiled? The answer is no one. Nobody. You think it does them good when you run after them all the time, take their orders as if you were the servant in the house, stay at home every night while they go out enjoying themselves. So she says, Mrs. Fitzgerald is telling Mrs. Pearson that you think that you are doing them a great thing. You're doing them a great good by running after them, by taking their orders like a servant, by staying back night after night all alone. Never in all your life. Like, you will never be able to do any good to them if you do like this. It's the ruin of them as well as you. So it is the ruin of you as well as of your family. Husbands, so see children, it's the theme of the play. Husbands, sons, daughters should be taking notice of wives and mothers, not giving them orders and treating them like dirt. And don't tell me you don't know what I mean, for I know more than you have told me. So Mrs. Fitzgerald is very strict about this fact. She says, like, every member of the family, husbands, son, and daughters, should be taking notice of wives and mothers. They should take care of them, not giving them orders and treating them like dirt. And don't tell me you don't know what I mean, for I know more than you have told me. Mrs. Pearson, dubiously, I keep dropping a hint. Hint? It's more than hints your family needs, Mrs. Pearson. So Mrs. Pearson, she says that, yeah, I keep on dropping hints. Then Mrs. Pearson is very annoyed at this. She says that your family doesn't need hints. They need more than that. Pearson, I suppose it is, but I do hate any unpleasantness. That is a weakness of many of the women of the house. So Mrs. Pearson says that, yes, I hate any sort of unpleasantness in the house. What kind of unpleasantness is Mrs. Pearson talking about, children? Amritpal will tell us. Amritpal, unmute yourself. Amritpal, yes. Amritpal is taking time. Renika, unmute yourself. Renika. Renika, Amritpal. Yuvraj Singh, roll number 44.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, good morning, Yuvraj.
अनप्लीजेंटनेस वही हो गया कि किसी को बैड ट्रीट करना या फिर अच्छा ना लगे वैसा.
Yes, you are right. You are right, Yuvraj. Well done, Vijay. Yes, Mrs. Pearson says that I hate any unpleasantness. You know what Mrs. Fitzgerald was telling Mrs. Pearson? Mrs. Fitzgerald is telling Mrs. Pearson to take action against injustice. Now the point is how to take action. How to take action? If Mrs. Pearson takes some action, it means that she will have to scold her children. It means that she will have to say no to children. It means that she will not be taking orders. If children keep on giving her orders after orders, then she will refuse to do them. And when she will do this, what will happen? There will be dispute, there will be quarrel in the family, there will be argumentation in the family. That is unpleasantness. So Mrs. Pearson says that I don't like any unpleasantness. I don't like that the atmosphere of my family becomes bad. And it's so hard to know where to start. That is Mrs. Pearson's problem. She says it's so hard to know where to start. I keep making up my mind to have it out with them, but somehow I don't know how to begin. She glances at her watch or at a clock. Oh, good gracious, look at the time, nothing ready, and they will be home any minute, and probably all in a hurry to go out again. So Mrs. Pearson says that she doesn't know when to start. And there and then she looks at her watch and she says, oh my God, I've got so late. And any time my husband and children will be coming and I have not made anything ready and nothing is ready. And then the moment they come, they will be in a hurry to go out again. You people tell me, if you go home, then do you go home to come out again? Don't tell me that, yes, you people have to go for tuitions and all. But otherwise, if you don't have tuitions, then do you go home to come out again to be with your friends, to go to clubs and all? The answer will be, of course, no. And if it is yes, then terribly wrong. It doesn't happen in many of the families. But yes, in the evenings, if your fathers or if the husbands come back, do they come back to go out again to join their friends in the clubs or in the pubs? If yes, that is very bad. The point is the wife is waiting at home for the whole of the day for the kids and for the husbands to come. But if they come and only take, if they have made their tea ready, if they made their dinner ready, then afterwards they're ready to go out again, then is it okay? It's not okay. But this was happening with Mrs. Pearson. So Mrs. Pearson, she said, like, she doesn't know when to start. And there and then she says, oh my God, I'm getting late because my husband and my kids would be coming back. And when they come, they would be expecting the food and all ready. And I'm not made anything ready. So she gets tensed that nothing is ready and they might be coming back. And when they would come back, they would be in a hurry to go back. And I have not made anything ready. So there will be problem then. So she was saying that there is she doesn't know when to start. And then she says that nothing is ready. Now, are you able to make out like what is Mrs. Pearson's problem? Yes, Divanshi will tell us. Unmute yourself, Divanshi. After this, Chirag Ahuja. Divanshi, yes. Divanshi, yes. Divanshi, my question is what is wrong about this attitude of Mrs. Pearson? Okay, let me change my question. Do you think if family is wrong in treating Mrs. Pearson, then it is also the mistake of Mrs. Pearson to be exploited? Do you think Mrs. Pearson is also responsible for her exploitation? Divanshi, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
How? How? Chirag Ahuja, unmute yourself. Divanshi, yes. Amritpal.
Ma'am, because Mr. Pearson never gave his wife to the rights to exploit.
I'm not getting much, Divanshi. Okay, wait, let me ask Renika. Is Renika there? Chirag. Chirag. But many of yours lectures are already running short. Daily you people are sent the attendance. Absentees list is daily being uploaded by the teachers. And if you are absent in any one of the class, you're marked absent over here. Please take care of your attendance also. At least when the online classes are being held, you can be regular. Mannati, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So is Mrs. Pearson also responsible for her expedition? Mannati, tell yes or no first.
I'm not sure about that. About the answer.
Are you listening to the question play? Are you listening? Are you attentive?
Ma'am, there is a network issue, so I can't hear it properly.
Can't hear me. Is network problem from my side or your side?
From my side.
Okay.
Maybe.
But the text is there in front of you. You can read text. Chirag Ahuja. Chirag. Naman. 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 Come on. Gursirat Singh. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Gursirat, give the answer.
Ma'am, in some situation, she is responsible.
How? How can you say this?
Ma'am, because if she gets a chance to raise her voice against that, but she didn't raise.
Yes. Very good, Gursirat. Well done. Good answer. So the point is that yes, Mrs. Pearson is responsible. No one can exploit you unless you allow the others to exploit you. So Mrs. Pearson is cool. If she is being exploited, she is cool about it. She doesn't mind. How can we say that she doesn't mind? Because she doesn't, she takes the orders after orders after orders of the family. If you are so unhappy about the things in the house, why don't you raise voice against it? Why can't you? Moreover, you are the mother. And as a mother, why can't you speak to your children? And as a wife, how can you not talk to your husband? Like what kind of attitude is expected from him? Right? So Mrs. Pearson is 100% responsible for what was happening in the house. If in a family, the children or the husbands don't listen to a woman, then the fault is equally of the woman as well as of the family. Okay. So yes, she should have taken action against the injustice earlier only. Now the things have gone too far. Now the children are over spoiled. Husband has also realized that Mrs. Pearson is a weak woman. So when you know that you can snub somebody very easily, then you don't mind it. But the problem is when you allow others to snub you. So she allowed earlier. So that's why Mrs. Pearson, we can say that Mrs. Pearson is very much responsible for her this condition. But now when Mrs. Fitzgerald is telling her to take action against the things, even then she is not able to make out. On one hand, she says that she doesn't know how to start, when to start. And on the other hand, she is looking at the clock and says that right now nothing is ready and her family would be back. So what if the family would be back? If you have not made their dinner or lunch ready before they come, so what? Are you their servant at home? Yes, so far the things are being done as a system. So far there is, understanding, it's okay. Then it's a responsibility of the mother to keep the lunch ready when kids come back home from school. But the point is, when the kids are over dominating mother, then why should mother take orders of kids like servant? Point is this. But otherwise, don't take it negative that mothers should not make their lunch ready for kids, because each and every person in the house is doing one's duty. If kids are studying, no doubt they are studying for themselves, but it's a part of family system. Okay, if one person, that is, if husband has gone out for earning money, then when he comes back, then he needs to be given something to eat. That is a system. So the one who is at home can do something for the husband or for the kids. But that doesn't mean that the person who is at home is a servant. That person deserves utmost respect, and his, his work should not be taken for granted. So now when she was saying like, oh my God, my family is about to come back and nothing is ready, as she is about to rise, Mrs. Fitzgerald reaches out across the table and pulls her down. Mrs. Fitzgerald, let them wait or look after themselves for once. This is where your foot goes down. Start now. So Mrs. Fitzgerald tells her, like, don't wait for some time. Now is the time. If nothing is ready, then let them wait. She's not telling her children that don't make anything. She says, let them wait or look after themselves, or for once. Means if you have not made something today, then let them wait or let them make it on their own today for at least once. This is where your foot goes down. This is where you lag behind. Start now. She lights a cigarette from one. She has just finished. So Mrs. Pearson, embarrassed. Okay, children, time is over. Tomorrow we'll start the class from here only. So please come, as much we have done, do it.